What if the most loyal warrior in Japanese history was born a monster? We think of heroes as born from light, but some of the greatest legends are forged in darkness. Today, we uncover the story of Benkei, the giant warrior monk. But this isn't the story, you know. This is a tale of a demon child, a cursed quest, and a death so unbelievable it defies reality itself. We're going deeper than ever before into the mysteries that even history is afraid to tell. The legend begins not with a celebrated birth, but a horrifying one. A child born after an 18-month pregnancy, with a full head of hair, long teeth, and the strength of a grown man. His own father, a temple steward, was so horrified he tried to abandon the child, believing him to be a demon. This was the boy named Oniwaka, the demon child. But he was saved by an aunt who saw not a monster, but a lonely child. In her care, Oniwaka grew. And grew. His strength was unnatural. As a boy, he played war games that terrified adults. But beneath the monstrous power was a profound loneliness. Was he truly a monster, or just an outcast soul trapped in a giant's body? This question would haunt him forever. He was sent to the monastery at Mount Hiei, a place of peace and prayer. But how can a storm be contained in a teacup? The quiet life of a monk couldn't chain the giant's spirit. He was a force of nature, his behavior too wild, too strong, too much for the sacred halls. He was expelled, cast out once again. It was here, alone and rejected by both the mortal and spiritual worlds, that Benkei's true legend would be forged. Before he became a collector of swords, Benkei was a collector of insults. One story tells of a deep grudge he held against the monks of the Maidera temple. To display his unmatched power and contempt, he set his sights on their most prized possession, their sacred multi-ton bronze bell. In an impossible feat of strength, Benkei single-handedly detached the giant bell and dragged it all the way up the mountain to his own monastery. But when he tried to ring his new prize, a horrifying thing happened. The bell didn't produce a clear, holy sound. It let out a deep, mournful groan. The monks who heard it swore it was crying out the words, "I want to go back. I want to go back to Maidera." The holy object itself was rejecting it. Enraged, Benkei kicked the bell, sending it rolling, and crashing all the way back down the mountain to the very temple he stole it from. What does this mean? Was the bell itself alive, or was this a sign from the heavens? A warning that no matter how he tried, the demon child could never truly be holy. Was he cursed? Now a rogue warrior, Benkei made a new chilling vow. He took up residence on the Gojo bridge in Kyoto, a strategic crossing point. He would challenge every single warrior who dared to cross and, upon defeating them, claim their sword. His goal, to collect 1,000 blades, but this was no simple mugging. Benkei was a master of 7 weapons, and his quest was a strange and violent pilgrimage. Was he searching for a blade worthy of his own strength? Was he seeking redemption through 1,000 battles? Or was he, as some whispered, a collector of souls, trapping the spirit of each defeated warrior in their steel? He gathered 999 swords. His name was a legend, whispered in fear and awe across the capital. No one could defeat the giant of Gojo Bridge. Then, one night, his 1,000th victim appeared, but it was not a fearsome warrior. It was a small, almost delicate figure, playing a flute as he crossed the bridge, seemingly without a care in the world. This was Minamoto no Yoshitsune, a young exiled nobleman of the powerful Minamoto clan. Benkei, seeing an easy final prize, attacked. What happened next was impossible. The young man was a leaf on the wind, a ghost in the moonlight. He was impossibly fast, dodging the giant's every powerful blow with nothing but a war fan. For the first time in his life, after 999 victories, Benkei was utterly defeated. Humbled, shocked, and in awe of Yoshitsune's divine skill, the giant warrior dropped to his knees. On that very bridge, the demon pledged his life to the young lord. The collector of swords had finally found his master. Benkei became Yoshitsune's shadow, his most loyal retainer and a key general in the Great Genpei War. Together, they were an unstoppable force. At the legendary naval battle of Den no Ura, where the fate of Japan was decided, Benkei was more than a bodyguard. He was a weapon. Witnesses claimed he used a ship's anchor as a flail, clearing entire enemy decks with each swing. His roar was said to be louder than the war drums. But victory breeds jealousy. Yoshitsune's brilliant tactics and rising fame earned him the hatred of his own brother, the new shogun Yoritomo. Declared a traitor, Yoshitsune was now a fugitive, hunted by the very men he had led to victory. And Benkei, his loyal demon, stayed by his side. This is where the story turns from history to myth. To escape their enemies, Benkei disguised himself as a master and Yoshitsune as a humble porter. At a guarded checkpoint, the guards, sharp-eyed and suspicious, believed the slender porter was the famed Yoshitsune. They were about to arrest him. To dispel their suspicion, Benkei did the unthinkable. He flew into a rage, screaming at his porter for being slow. Then, he began to beat his own master with a heavy staff. The guards watched, stunned. No loyal retainer, no man in feudal Japan would ever dare to strike his lord. It was the ultimate crime, the ultimate dishonor. Convinced by this shocking display of disloyalty, they let the party pass. Think about that moment, the psychological torment. To save his master, Benkei had to publicly perform the most disloyal act imaginable. Was this a calculated act of brilliant theater? Or a moment where Benkei had to become a monster once more to save the man he served? Their freedom was short-lived. Finally, they were cornered, surrounded in a castle, with only a handful of men left. As Yoshitsune, defeated, retired to commit seppuku, the honorable suicide of a samurai, he asked Benkei for one last thing, to hold the bridge to the castle and give him time. Benkei did more than hold it. He became a fortress of one. He stood on that bridge, a giant against an army, and slaughtered every soldier who dared to approach. It is said he killed over 300 trained samurai by himself. The enemy, terrified to get close, changed tactics. They fell back and unleashed a storm of arrows. The arrows rained down, piercing the giant's armor and flesh, but Benkei did not fall. He remained standing, motionless, a silent, bloody guardian covered in a forest of arrows. The soldiers, unnerved by the eerie sight, stopped firing. There was a long, terrifying silence. Cautiously they approached. They prodded the giant figure, only to find that the great warrior monk Benkei was already dead. He had died on his feet, a final, impossible act of loyalty. A warrior to the very end, his body refusing to dishonor his master even in death. So what was he? A demon? A hero? A monster? Or was he simply a man so loyal he could bend the rules of life and death itself? The story of Benkei shows us that sometimes the most fearsome monsters hide the most human hearts. And the greatest legends are not about how a hero lives, but how they choose to die. What do you think of Benkei's story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales from history's hidden corners.